Wander Franco is the player signed by the Tampa Bay Rays. Phenomenal player, shortstop, infielder, hitter, power, speed, defense, arm. Everything's great. The Rays, of all people, give him 11 years, $182 million. This is how baseball's supposed to be. Lock up your best. Except they didn't realize when they locked up their best that their best was going to be locked up. No sooner could he get his career underway was it discovered that he was involved in a relationship with a minor. Charges levied against him and the mother of the minor. Trafficking, imprisonment, sex. 21 years old, Wander Franco, on video, very many different ways, with this 14-year-old. A trial happens in the Dominican Republic, and I assure you, the Dominican Republic court system is not the court system of the United States of America. Regardless of your political views or what you view as the judiciary status currently, which I'm not going to impugn, though, man, it's getting harder. In the Dominican Republic, a trial happened, and this is what the result was. The mother of the 14-year-old was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Exactly what the prosecutors wanted. Wander Franco, 2 years, a suspended sentence. That means that when he wakes up tomorrow morning, he will not be behind bars. The person whose freedom is gone is the mother. The person whose lives are ruined are the daughter, the child, the girlfriend, quote unquote. The mother will be in prison for a decade. Wander Franco will wander free. Probation, suspended sentence, but Wander Franco's problems are not over. Wander Franco is now a convicted felon. When you sign a player to a contract, the guarantee language is clear. The uniform player contract has termination clauses. How do you terminate a guarantee? I always wanted to write in there, for any contract, I'd like to terminate if the player stinks. Not allowed. I'd like to terminate if the player shows up late one day. Not allowed. But I am allowed to negotiate prohibited activities. The old famous Niner racquetball. Happy birthday, Jeff Conine. Don't play racquetball. Basketball, if you're D. Gordon. No one-on-one, no pickup basketball. Skydiving, snow skiing, water skiing. But here's one that's in every contract. Do not commit a felony, because should you be convicted of a felony, and that's always a big negotiation, is it accused of a felony or convicted of a felony? And players would say, anyone can be accused of a felony. I don't want to lose my contract for just being accused. I may get suspended. I may get put on the restricted list, which is where Wander Franco is, where I'm not getting paid. But I don't want my contract terminated just for being accused. But convicted, game over. The Tampa Bay Rays will have the opportunity, if not the obligation, to terminate his contract. As it is, they weren't paying it out because he was restricted. MLB said it is continuing its investigation, and they will conclude it when they conclude it with a decision. But when you have been convicted of a felony in the U.S., it goes really fast. Convicted of a felony in the Dominican, less fast, because you got to take a look at what's what and who's who. We have seen one statement only following this news from yesterday. And the one statement was from Major League Baseball, who said that Major League Baseball is proud to have a collectively bargained joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy that reflects our commitment to these issues. We are aware of today's verdict in the Wander Franco trial and will conclude our investigation at the appropriate time. The only thing I will quibble with is the word proud. I don't think any of us should be proud of anything associated with child abuse, domestic violence, or sexual assault. What MLB meant is they're proud that they were able with the union to negotiate a policy where players are punished. Well, that's called society. People ought to be punished for domestic violence, sexual abuse, sexual assault, child abuse. It is all so incredibly unfortunate. And I started thinking yesterday, Coca, about the baseball side. The amount of work that we do, and understand I'm now separating myself from the heinous nature of what Franco did. Flying in the girl, taking advantage, paying off the mother in order to have the girl at his disposal. I'm separating that. I want to segue for you into the work that we do as organizations to identify, then sign, then develop international players. It is incredibly difficult, way worse in the old days when we got Vladimir Guerrero in Montreal, the stories of him were simple. Vladimir Guerrero's father, senior, Hall of Famer. Interesting, he was hidden by the Montreal Expos in their Dominican facility until he was of age and able to sign. We hid him, paid for him. I was not with the Expos, but the scout who did it stayed with us. A scout named Fred Ferreira. And you then hope that out of all the players you sign, maybe one or two in your career become all-star level or above, and that's when you're doing well. But the majority of players never even make it with the work visa over to the U.S. who you sign in the Dominican. They're not good enough. You only get a certain number of visas to bring players over, and that was pre this administration. And then once they're over, they have to work their way up through the minor league system, where, again, failure is the norm. So getting a player all the way to your big league team, you feel so good about what your departments have done, scouting, development, and then to have them be good enough to warrant an 11-year, $182 million contract means that you've done your homework. If you're offering 11 years, you've lived with the player, you know the player, you believe in the player as wanting to be associated with your franchise. You want to associate your brand with that person. And then no sooner does it happen, you don't get a chance to get years into the deal, and the player is gone. The player is a criminal, a convicted felon. It is a blight on Tampa. It is a disappointing bit of news for Tampa. The resolution will absolutely have something to do with the sale of the team. That contract is no longer a liability of the company, will not be a liability of the company. The impact on the team, you see how they're doing this year. Life goes on. Life always goes on for teams. There's always the next player. There's always the next game, the next year, the next season. But for the lives impacted by Wander Franco's behavior and the result of this verdict, the reverberations are just starting.